So today's record is by Lord Lovidicus, who I've had the pleasure of communicating with over the years. It was about 10 or 11 years ago that I was getting into dungeon synth. I started making my own record, I was conversing with Lord Lovidicus, and then I got completely distracted by YouTube and Minecraft. That became its own adventure that I'm sure you know about. And over those years, I've watched Lord Lovidicus really grow and evolve as a musician, moving from one interesting record to the next, and then getting to this point here, which kind of feels like a peak, but one that's maybe held back a little bit by the means of production, as you'll hear me talk about in this blog. I feel like Lord Lovidicus has reached the peak of this trajectory and is now ready for something bigger and better. But let's jump into the blog and hear what I had to say. It's felt like a lengthy, patient wait, but alas, the time has come again for another installment in the Lord Lovidicus journey. Steering further from the dungeon synth and deeper into the fantasy realm, another evolution in tone is no surprise. Its aquatic theme, or at least my interpretation of Midsummer, has been, however. Actually, many parts of it are comparable to a Vespera ad Lucem. But between passages of temperaments listeners will be more accustomed to are flourishes and swells of expression akin to Debussy and the Romantic era, at least to my limited perceptions. The record has jollity and beauty in abundance. Long gone is the lurking mystery of dungeon synth darkness. These songs use luscious instruments and cheerful melodies to steer the music through warm-hearted adventures of carefree fantasy. Flutes, piccolos, layers of synth and tambourine, lead percussion builds up inviting and immersive atmospheres. The compositional balance is wonderful. Repeating sections and simple woven melodies seemed interspersed with lead instruments dancing on inspiration at just the right intensity to serve both the background and forefront listening. To my ears, the album finds constraints where the music is held back by its production and format. Some of those aforementioned lead instruments rise up and act like the song's voice. Too often do they feel held back by the time-locked and rigid nature of virtual instruments. A little looseness would free up the creativity. Also, the indulgent reverbs get a little overpowering when too many instruments are active at the same time. Jacques Douay is a keen example of both, a beautiful song of instruments dancing on a whim, following heart and soul with a dexterous composition, fluttering with complexities that sound crammed by these issues, despite being utterly wonderful. In my mind, there is no doubt that this musician's journey is going in the right direction. This latest divergence of theme is refreshing and the underlying components of skill and inspiration are yielding the magic as ever, but as pointed out extensively, this feels like a moment where the technology holds back the music. That, however, has not held back my immense enjoyment of these simply wonderful starlit atmospheres that conjure underwater aquatic adventures in my humble imagination. So Midsummer is a really great record. If you're a fan of fantasy music, and especially so if you like Debussy and Romantic era music, it's got a little bit of that flavour in it. This is a really lovely, gorgeous record that you can totally get into, and I highly recommend it if you're into that sort of music. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to see some more of my music blogs, go check the website out. Every page has over 1,000 articles sorted by artist, year, genre and more. Just hit Ctrl F and have a search for something that interests you. You can find a link to the blog in the description box down below, where you'll also find links to my other YouTube channels. Check them out if you are curious. Thanks again for watching, and be sure to subscribe to catch the next upload.